So let me talk about 5 standards for successful communication. Number 1 is caring. The most powerful aspect of communication is the issue of caring. If you don't care, it shows in everything that you do. That if I'm going to successfully communicate with my spouse, it means in my body language, in my countenance, in eye contact, and in my response and in the tone of my voice, everything that I do communicates caring to you. Now, when Karen and I when we started dating, I cared. And we would sit and talk, and I remember we would sit and talk at restaurants, or we would talk on the phone. Remember when you first start dating, you talk on the phone, and like you talk on the phone for hours at a time, you hear each other breathe, and you're just sitting there not saying a lot, but you can hear each other breathe like that. It's so romantic because, you just really care, you're working real hard at it. Well, and when you first started communicating, Karen would say, "Can I say something to you?" And I would say, yeah. And then flash forward 5 or 6 years into marriage, and they say, "Can I say something to you?" And say, excuse me, just a minute. And I'm doing something else, I'm watching TV or something, and they're trying to communicate, and I'm not looking at them. And in my responses, there's a tone of my voice that communicates and says, "I don't care." If it's impossible to communicate with a person who doesn't care. Have you ever been in a restaurant and the waiter or waitress that was assigned to you really did not want to take care of you? Isn't that a frustrating experience? And you spend, the evening or the meal going, excuse me, and they're walking by the table and you're just going, "I know they heard me." And they just don't want. That's what it's like to be married to a person who doesn't care. I'm trying to say something, but it's impossible because you really don't care. You don't care how I feel. You don't care what I'm talking about. And here's what it means to care. It means someone's talking and you're looking at them. You have to make eye contact. And that's why there are times it's so important, turn the TV off. Number 2, standard for successful communication is praise. Negativity is the devil's language, and it will destroy your marriage. It'll destroy your life. Negativity. God is a God of praise. Psalm 100 says, "We enter God's gates with thanksgiving, and we enter into His courts with praise." God never lets a negative person into His intimate presence. When it says we enter into God's gates with thanksgiving, into His courts with praise, courts means intimate presence. We are created in the image of God. I will never, ever let anybody into my heart unless they're positive about me. Never. When a marriage becomes negative, we close our hearts to each other. It's the most intuitive thing that we do in a self-preservation mode. And that's why the devil loves to come and accuse us to each other and make our language negative. By the way, when they measure the predictors of divorce, and they can measure this with accuracy of who will divorce, the number 1 predictor of divorce is criticism, is a negative attitude. And it's not just complaining and saying, "Well, honey, that hurt my feelings and I don't like that," because complaining is important. Criticism is a negative tone that sets up in the relationship as a filter that everything is seen through. I don't trust you. I don't like you. Nothing's good. Everything is bad. And we stop praising each other. We enter into God's gates with thanksgiving and enter into His courts with praise. We're exactly the same way, and we have to set a discipline in our lives of praising each other. Now, every good marriage has a positive tone. Praise is a discipline. Now, I want you to listen to me. So you say, "Well, our marriage is terrible, and things are bad, and things have gotten really negative or whatever." You can change that through praise. The reason that you fell in love is because you complimented each other. You never fall in love with someone saying, "I just hate your hair. You need to lose some weight. You really do. You're looking a little pudgy." You never, "Oh, could we go out again? Because I've got some other things I'd like you to critique about my life," but that's how you fall out of love. Praise is a discipline in our lives that keeps the measure of our marriage very high. As high as you want your marriage to go, your mouth has to go there first. And if you want to have a passionate marriage It doesn't mean that you trade your spouse in and go out and find your soulmate so that you have this perfect person that you always praise. Because I'm just telling you right now, your perfect soulmate is severely messed up. They have problems. There's no fairy tale person out there that doesn't have problems. Any person that you would ever marry, as soon as you're married to them, you begin to see things about them that you don't like. And the issue, the real challenge is this: to keep focusing on the things that you like. Deal with the things that you don't like in a positive way, but keep focusing on the things that you like and let your mouth be a mouth of praise. Number 3, standard for successful communication is truth. You have to tell the truth. You have to have a truthful mouth. And I'm not talking about a brutal mouth. I'm talking about a truthful mouth. Proverbs 3:3 says, bind mercy and truth around your neck and write them on the tablet of your heart. Every word that comes out of my mouth is going to be truthful. Ephesians 4:15 says, speaking the truth in love, we grow up into all aspects into Him. Is everything that I say is going to have truth in it. I'm not going to lie about it. Let me say this. If you don't tell the truth, it's going to come out in other behavior. If something's really bothering you and if something's going on in your life, you need to be truthful about it, because if you're not, it goes into passive-aggressive behavior. You know, when you put that skunk in the basement, it's going to stink up the whole house. And so don't trap things down inside of you and someone says there's something wrong and you say, no, nothing's wrong. You need to get it out and you need to be honest. If there's something going on in your life that's significant, you need to talk it out and be honest about it. Number 4 standard for successful communication is faith. And I said this to the ladies in the other session that we did related to them, and that is, you can say anything you need to say to your husband because you're his equal, but once you've said it, then you have to let God be the enforcer. You have to have faith that God is a God of truth, and if you've spoken the truth, that He is your partner to enforce it in your husband's heart. Without faith, you're going to nag him, you're going to browbeat him until you get your way because you're the enforcer. You don't have faith in God. 1 Peter 3 says that a gentle and quiet spirit is precious in the sight of God. A gentle and quiet spirit is not the mark of a mousy, beaten down woman. A gentle and quiet spirit is the mark of a woman of faith who believes that she can speak what she needs to speak and God will enforce it in her husband's heart. It's so hard to live your life trying to fix people with your mouth all the time. You have to speak the truth and leave it with God. And say, God, you're the God of truth, and I have faith that you can take what I just said, if it's true, and you can change my spouse from the inside. It changed our marriage when I stopped trying to fix Karen all the time with my words, but I left it with God. Number 5 standard is surrender. This mouth belongs to God. I surrender my mouth to God. And I want God to use my mouth to build my marriage, to build my children, and to live a life that will glorify Him. This is not my mouth. This is God's mouth. And I'm going to give an account for this mouth one day to God. And I'm not going to in any way justify meanness or evil or anything else with this mouth, though everybody else may do it. This mouth belongs to God.
Thank you for joining us. Partner with Marriage Today and receive the Marriage on the Rock series on CD or DVD. Follow your interests and get social by connecting with Jimmy and Karen and the Ministry of Marriage Today on Twitter. Marriage Today's latest book, Happy Happy Love, will supercharge your marriage with practical tips, wisdom, and inspiration for every stage of marriage. Visit happylovebook.com. Become a rock-solid partner today and equip yourself with the tools you need for a successful marriage. $14, $28, or $56 per month. Choose the partnership level that's right for you. Become a rock-solid partner today.